Lee, how would you like to watch the very first found footage horror film? It's actually the first found footage film, period. But now available with behind the scenes featurettes.
That sounds fun. I haven't seen the Blair Witch in a long time.
Oh no, not the Blair Witch Project. I said the first found footage horror film. 1989, bitch. All right, guys, here we're to talk about the McPherson Tape. 1989's The McPherson Tape. Lee, had you ever seen this one before?
I've only seen Elle Macpherson's DVD. I did not know she had a tape.
So this tape, I remember seeing this when I was young, I believe on TV in some regard, and it has then spawned another movie where they made like a high-budget version of it. This was a filmmaker's first movie, and from what I understand, this is the first found footage movie ever made.
First actual...
There are movies that have found footage in them, but this is the first that is only found footage.
Yeah, it's interesting, because like Blair Witch and stuff was marketed in like, is it real? Oh no, all this other stuff. So I was not, at that time, because I was there for that, and I didn't recall anybody saying, it's not real, it's just another McPherson tape. Like there was none of...
Well, if I can drop a little knowledge on you here in the intro. So the Blair Witch was targeted as that specifically to be released as a is this real type of thing. Yeah. This movie was not. This movie was made as a movie. The studio that was distributing it burned down. They told the guy that made it, like, sorry, we lost it. He thought the movie was gone, that he didn't have it anymore. But apparently they had made some preliminary like rush out like test audience VHS tapes that some mom and pops got.
Okay.
So somebody rented this movie. They made a copy of it. They cut off the beginning and the end, and it popped up in the U.F.O circuit years later.
Yeah, okay.
So like at the conventions and whatnot, where people talk about things.
Yeah.
And eventually someone called him, and they're like, so do you have the rights to that footage? And he's like, what are you talking about?
Excusez-moi?
But yeah, so it was like accredited as like as real from like some.
That's great.
Some like not NASA. He was like, I think an Air Force, like a 30-year Air Force pilot captain that was retired.
I have been studying UFOs for 42 years, and I've got a pretty good track record.
Retired U.S. Army Colonel Don Ware spent his career working closely with military intelligence.
He confirmed this is real. Some like people that were like, in the scene were like, that's real. And like they have frame by frame analysis. Do you see how the alien's eye is sunken in after it died? That's what happens.
I took photographs of each frame. And in one frame, the eye of the alien is sunken in. When I was at the International UFO Congress, there was a man standing over my shoulder as I was going through these prints, and he said, I have seen dead aliens, and that's exactly what happens. When they're dead, their eye gets concave like that.
I have that as confirmed, whatever, and there's all this crazy shit.
I love that so much. I remember hearing the story about like people were just seeing like actual test flights, and like one dude especially got like super into it. So like the Air Force was like, it's aliens, bro, and then that guy thought it was aliens like forever from that point. I love finding out after the fact things like this, weird stories about this community. The idea of people's reputations being tied to this, like it's real, and now it's like the dude's like, I filmed that. That's not real.
Well, those
like,
people
it's amazing.
Say that he, the director, he's in on it. It's a false flag. You're there to say it's not real so that we don't believe.
You know what? You make a great point, and we should have known that. I'm sorry.
And then I remember the UFO expert guy even is on like tape saying like, I still believe that parts of that tape are real.
There's really something inside me that really is not convinced that parts of it are not real. I have a feeling that parts of that video may be 100% authentic.
And like, how could any parts of the tape be real? It is one shot. The whole movie is one take.
What better way to hide a real alien than in a fake alien movie?
But it's great. And then
it's great. Yeah.
And then in the it's not a sequel. It's kind of like a high budget remake of this movie.
Interesting to me too.
Called Alien Abduction, like something. Lake City. I can't remember what it's called. I'll show it here.
Is it also found footage?
It is almost the exact plot of this movie, just done up better with better effects. It's longer. There's more things put into it. I'll talk about those in spoilers maybe.
Cool.
But the director himself is in there as like one of the things where he's like if it were a film, he's like it has to be real because if it were fake, I would have directed it.
If it is a hoax, I should have been the one that directed it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
No, it's good times.
No, I definitely recommend this. I think it's fun.
Say,
it's dated, but it's good.
It is very dated. Some stuff is goofy, right? All that other stuff. I don't like found footage. I think like as a concept.
I pretty much hate it, so I'm with you.
Right. But
I love Blair Witch. I like this, but in general, they're never good.
I feel like this might be the thing. I'm still not sure how to word it, but like a historical, like I think your approach maybe of either reading the Wikipedia at the same time or like shotgun whatever to like understand the story behind this and how it fit in and how it was lost and found, all this great stuff like that. Like it's super interesting. I don't know that I loved it. I thought it was okay. I liked it. It is 1 hour long. It is not like a long, boring, weird thing where you're like, come on, get to the aliens, right?
It's just about an hour.
Thing. Yeah, it's one of the better ones.
Yeah, and thanks to Vinegar Syndrome, this recently came out in a beautiful upscaled Blu-ray version with lots of behind-the-scenes cool stuff. Yeah. Which is where I learned a lot of the things I've said so far. But I would definitely recommend this. I think it's fun. Yeah. Aside from being the first found footage movie, I've never seen a movie that's just completely one shot,
it's like an art piece
ever.
Of some sort,
especially that didn't have a script. That's like it's loosely there's a script, but it's all improv actors. That's why it just feels like conversation. So I'm like, that's fantastic.
Okay,
so I'll definitely check this movie out if you've not seen it.
Worth checking out.
If you have seen it though, follow us over to spoilers. And if not, again, go to Vinegar Syndrome. Check this out. They only make so many. Get it while you can.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers on the McPherson tape. I did just think of the alien abduction incident at Lake County.
Ranch. Okay.
That's the name of the next one.
Lake County.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Didn't know about that either.
Yeah, that one's like 93 maybe or something.
Oh, wow. So it was recently after that.
Well, yeah. Or was it 96? It doesn't matter. In that ballpark. Okay. But like the biggest difference is this is like a $6,500 budget movie, and that's like I think it's like is it a Dick Clark film? I think it has like $1.7 million, like a dramatic like that is the biggest difference you could ever imagine in terms of a low budget movie.
Any like actual actors and stuff?
A couple of people like one of the brothers. So the biggest difference between that movie and this movie, aside from it's like an hour and a half, it's an hour. It's a real movie. There's like actual like elements of graphically stuff, like not just like lights in the distance. But there's an extra sister who brings home a black boyfriend, and that adds a thing where the family's a little racist.
Okay.
But yeah, they're still the young girl.
Get woke, go broke.
It's pretty much everything that happens almost beat for beat in this movie. Just a little bit more things happen. Instead of it being a 5-year-old's birthday party, it's Thanksgiving. There's an extra sister and her boyfriend. There's still the 2 older brothers with their significant others. But then more things happen. Like there's added like loss of time stuff happens. There's like an orb of light in the house that like ends up killing one of the girls.
What the hell is it? What is it?
I don't like
Their noses all start to bleed at one point. They hear like a crazy ringing in their ears and it stops them. The young girl gets like in this one they kind of are going to the door to like open the doors, like they're possessed a little bit. The youngest girl gets like super possessed and like she unloads a shotgun so like they can't find him off. Like
some of that I like, some of that I don't. I think like the strength of this, where it is strong, is in the whole thing of like there's no orb of light or anything. There's no
a lot of that,
right?
The strength of this movie, the original film, is that it's so. What would be it's like almost underwhelming.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shelley.
Yes.
Where like it is just a girl's 5-year-old's birthday party for like a large chunk of it. It's conversation that like, that feels like kind of real. A little bit when you know, it's improv conversation kind of feels like if you've ever been to an improv. I'm like, oh yeah, they're keeping that thing going and this and that. But there's nothing ever cuts off something else where it doesn't pay off. Like no one says like, oh, and your dad was a bodybuilder, and then they're like, oh, and your dad was a plumber. Like there's no like bullshit like that sometimes could happen in an improv situation. But what is amazing about this, the thing I think that is the biggest this could be real, is that all these characters are talking at the same time almost the entire movie.
Over each other.
And because it's one take, that kind of shit really speaks volumes for like, this could be real, because you could not have scripted that and executed it the way they did.
Nobody else did. I know, I don't know if they came back.
I remember putting the bacon.
Eric, would you when you get down and yell?
I'll check on the tower.
Yeah, would you call it because the phone's out and let them know that we don't have any power up here.
And there's points where someone says, what the fuck was that? But like you don't really see anything like as an audience member, right?
Couple of those times you do,
but sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, I don't, not looking at it.
But like would happen with someone poorly videotaping something.
Because why would you always have the camera already looking at whatever the thing happens, right?
What the hell was that? Oh no! Oh dear. Oh,
they're trying to get in! They're trying to get in!
Don't go to the door! Eric!
No, it isn't! Jamie, get away from the door!
So sometimes he'll like look at the window and they'll be like, I just saw something. And like, then you are like, where?
I believe there was something in that window.
I don't know which thing we're talking. It was the kitchen one time. Yes, or something else.
The guy filming this movie is the director, as you may have guessed, and he has a like microphone earpiece thing in. So like when he cues certain things, that cues the actors outside that have a walkie-talkie to like walk past or do this or whatever.
Sure.
Because it's such an ambitious thing to film like, now we're doing it all in one take. Oh yeah, we got little kids dressed up like whatever.
That's not ambitious to me. That's like, why would you restrict yourself in this retarded way?
Well, because if you were trying to make an actual found footage thing, like that's I think the biggest thing this has over what is the remake of this movie is that one has a bunch of cuts and interspliced almost like documentary footage of like, okay, here we're cutting to someone from the government, here we're cutting to a UFO expert, here we're cutting to a person that had a thing. Like
when I saw the tape, it brought it all back to me. You know, the lights, the smells, the hair raising on the back of my neck when I was too pissed scared to talk.
So like it'll cut on a thing and go like, I always knew this was real because blah blah blah. That were like, it's clearly fake because there's more pixels in this area than there are in another area.
Okay.
The analysis we did on the footage showed images that were more highly pixelated than your regular home videotape.
Okay, so that's just different, right? They're turning it into like an episode of the old like cable shows, like Sightings or whatever, right? Like they're gonna do a
But that also made it feel like, so when I saw that on Fox, I was like, oh shit, is this real?
Is this real? yeah, totes.
Yeah. But I think there's also a third one, not necessarily by this guy, but that reminded me of the exact same thing, but ends differently, or there's an alternate ending to the second one or something that isn't there. Where I remember there being a thing where there's a young boy in his bed, and like he's like, all right, I'm just gonna go to bed, and then like you could see the alien come into the bedroom, and like that's where it ends. But this one ends with them, sitting at the kitchen table thing, and it comes in.
That's one thing I never learned to do was play bridge. All the Navy rocks play bridge. And I didn't want to learn how because
Michael, you playing?
Waste too much time playing bridge. You're playing? Okay.
That's a set for Michael.
All right. We can cheat this time. Michael's playing.
And the other one, the remake one, ends in a very similar way, where like the little girls like opens the door and like the aliens come in and get them while they're having their like playing cards or something.
You're trying to tell me.
Oh my God!
Yeah, because here just like the aliens come from the back, right? And they go, whoop, whoop, whoop. And one looks at the camera and it goes, and like this, whatever, I figured you'd be nitpicky, like, well, how come their watches would stop but the camera still works? This is dumb.
Oh no, there's a lot of bullshit in this that doesn't work at all.
I don't care about those things, but yes.
like the cars and stuff, and like why is this, and just how far away. The biggest nitpick would be just really how far away the spaceship was to their house. I'm like, okay, so they walk over there and it takes like 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 to get there.
Oh, like screen minutes,
yeah, and you're like, and like it's real time. It's not changed. And then they run back in about like 45 seconds. So you're like, you would have heard this spaceship land.
Oh, you think it's too close?
It's too close.
Okay, sure.
Something flashed the trees and then it went over behind.
Is there a helicopter waiting?
You know the Johnson's house here right behind the hill? It looked like something went over there. Let's go check it out. Come on. Come on.
Are you sure, man?
Hold on, I don't know if my...
Very close. Like you'd probably almost be able to see the lights of the woods. Like it's very close. That spaceship is very small. They are small, but you also don't know. Maybe it's like TARDIS shit. Who knows what's on the inside? But that's what you get for $700. Is what they paid the craftsman to build that with. And I do think that it plays. It's not as good as it is in the $1.7 million version, obviously.
And
but
like a lot of that stuff worked, and like that's where I was more on board. Because like for a lot of the woods, this is what I mean about it not needing to be one take. There's parts of the woods journey where you can't see shit.
Oh fuck! What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Oh shit! Oh man!
And
but I do think that's what makes it feel realer. So if you were to not know, like all the things that are bad as far as filmmaking goes, I think are also great choices because that's what really makes this.
I'm saying that since you can't see anything, there's no reason not to hide a cut there and do another take and get a better scene if you want to, right?
Sure.
I didn't think anything was bad enough to warrant that. I'm just saying that like
pretty impressive.
You can just do the thing. There's a part too where I'm shocked to hear that it's improv mostly, right? Because I assume he's supposed to be like the younger. I'm a little unclear about who's who in the family, honestly.
But, the one filming it is the youngest brother.
And all three of them are brothers supposed to be? Okay, good. So like he tries to like attack them back after like a delay, like a very convincing like, oh, you guys are fucking with me, like fuck you, and he starts, his gears are turning, and then he says, aren't you supposed to paint this back here? And then the older brother is like, I'm gonna shut this down, fuck you, and says, how long has that has that roof been leaking or something like that? And like asks him like repeatedly to like shut him up. And I thought it was a very convincing part of the conversation.
You were supposed to paint this last week. She took everything off the walls. And you're supposed to paint it. Oh, I'm gonna get to it. Film the
How long is that
go off?
That back room's been leaking for how long, Mike? How long?
As opposed to like some of the of the other feels improv-y now that you're saying it, right? Where someone says something and then they kind of like repeat themselves differently, then the other person responds and it's like whatever.
That same through line is in the remake. Where the drinking problem is addressed more. Like they kind of breeze into that. Where like how many drinks has mom had?
What am I gonna do? When I'm there, she doesn't drink. She knows she's not gonna drink when I'm there. But I can't.
Yeah, well, she does it when I do it. She comes home, she takes a little bottle or whatever she's got.
That rum.
She goes in the back there and drinks.
Some water in it before I leave.
She watches Johnny Carson.
Well, you're supposed to not let her have that. What am I gonna do? Hide the drink, like type of thing.
Yeah. She doesn't drink when I'm here. Well, like what am I supposed to do about it? Yeah. No, a lot of that's really good, and a lot of the other actors and actresses' contributions when you look back on all that stuff make a lot more sense and work. I think structurally having it start on the kitchen table so you can get a good look at everybody's face.
He's gonna get a suntan and that one eye is just. Little raccoon action. Yeah, little raccoon. I think it's great because this is like the Manhattan shirt guy.
It shows you how well
you figure out who's who, better than me hopefully, because then for a lot of it, like you don't know what the fuck's happening. So like I would not know what the mom looked like practically if we hadn't had that beginning to demonstrate it. You see her a little at the end when she's being like, now it's okay, they probably just ran down the thing, need help, and I'm like, okay, but like
I thought there's not a lot of treating the situation with the proper urgency.
Well, I don't know when they'll be back. It might take them, 30 minutes. It might take them an hour. Depends on how far.
It's going to take them about 40 minutes, Mom.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to go back to the kitchen. Now listen, everybody stays in the house, okay?
Throughout the movie, especially once you first saw aliens, you'd think you'd be out of the house already. Like before there's an opportunity for your car to get sabotaged or whatever may happen.
They address it in a way that I liked, because one of them flat out says, "We can run down there as fast, as he can run down there and drive back up here."
And well, we can run to the truck as fast as he can drive it back down here. I don't know.
Mom, if there's more of those things out there, we don't need to have Michelle get kidnapped or something.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a good point. But they get kind of like the tension was believable, where they're barking and yelling and being like, no, shut up, stay here, fuck you.
That's what the brilliance of that over talking and stuff. And showing so much of the unnecessary things really makes it feel real. Because if you ever watch any one of your friends film anything with their phone, aside from it being like, filmed vertically like a fucking idiot, it's also a lot of stuff that's nothing, and then the thing they want to talk about,
Yeah, like he takes a big old break to get a big old glass of water at one point.
What are we going to play, Michelle? What card game do you want to play?
Does everybody know how to play Go Fish?
I think so.
Let me put my animals down. Renee, do you know how to play Go Fish?
I'm not sure if I remember, but I can tell you.
All right. Well, you can learn.
And then even like ends up sweeping parts of the house where you see several rooms. I was expecting a little whoop, something to happen there, and I was feeling the actual tension in that moment. I thought it was really effective. This is near the end, but they're all like the other brothers are MIA, and they're at the like they're doing their card thing, and he takes this break where it's like 10-20 seconds of just the camera's like in a cabinet, like you can't see anything. It's very much drawn out for that like effect, which I thought was good.
And that stuff works where something's there as the audience member, so you're looking for things and they're not there, and that builds the tension.
Exactly.
I like that. It's kind of like the Invisible Man thing, where you're like, there's an Invisible Man. Where is he?
But where is he though?
Yeah. I think the second, like the remake of this had a little better, was the house was bigger because it had like a budget. It's like this one had a very small house that seemingly was like a 1-bedroom house.
Yes.
And they bring the alien into the house and leave him there. So
put her in the back. Mom, bring everyone in the back room.
Don't bring that in.
Oh shit!
Jesus, don't bring it in the house. What are you doing?
like you're not even in that part of the house any longer.
Right.
So like it lost something in that regard, where you can't do too much when you only have like a shotgun style home. When you have a 2-floor large home, you could do a lot more.
Right, with people like, where'd they go? Oh, they're here. Oh, what's going on? Oh, she's acting weird now, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when the alien gets brought into the house, that was like the part of the decline for me, when I was no longer like, well, okay, that just looks like a weird, goofy. And then really, honestly, I should say this, like I would have liked this just for the benefit of the like presentation to be presented like without opening and like ending credits the same way, leave more of a gap. And this literally ends with like the 3 people that played the aliens like with their like masks off and their black bodysuits just smiling into the camera like haha, right, which I imagine is just now part of the like deep state conspiracy to debunk the video. But I'm not gonna say it ruined it for me, but like you bought it, you can read the box. When I pop it in, make me think that it's real. Don't like shove it in my face that much, right?
I didn't have that same problem.
It's not real. I know it's not real. I'm just saying. Yes. Like,
but do imagine though that you did watch this for the first time, not a Blu-ray, in your house.
Yeah, that's
you saw this thing. Oh, your friend gave you a copy of a tape.
Yes.
You're like, what the fuck? And that's what spread the legend so much on this, because, like I said, the distributor did burn down. There were not a million copies of this made. It was just a couple of copies, and someone made copies and cut off pieces. So people that did see it wasn't like, oh yeah, everyone's seen that tape. That's blah blah blah. It was this thing like, oh, I got this tape, and it spread that like wildfire because of that.
Like the viral, weird, whatever aspect is super interesting to me. That's a great,
very, very cool
historical, nugget.
Yeah. And the idea of it being one shot is impressive. The idea that the director is this 23-year-old kid, impressive. Even just acquiring $6,500 to make a movie in 1989.
Yeah.
And and we're gonna build a spaceship. You're like, what? How the hell are you gonna do that?
The fucking what?
I thought that was a pretty convincing spaceship for what it was.
The way that they zoom in on it and stuff sells it a lot. It looks and he's moving and all that stuff.
It's a spaceship, Mike.
I know it is. It's a fucking no way. Bullshit. It's not a spaceship.
Holy what shit. Is it then?
Holy shit, guys, I'm zoomed in. It's a spaceship. Holy shit.
No way, man. I gotta go see.
Holy shit.
There's nobody around.
Like it totally works.
Yeah.
Even in the up-res stuff, I wasn't like, it's a trash can. Like I was not. Like it was good. Yeah.
The aliens look pretty good from a distance.
Yes.
It's when you see them up close, not as impressive, but it's so funny that up close shot is what made the alien expert say that yep, that's real. That's how aliens look. I know when they die, they're bubbly eyes and I'm like, what?
Shoot it. Gotta shoot it again.
It's already dead. How the fuck?
Shoot it.
That's what the Greys do.
Crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy that there are alien experts. how the fuck are there alien experts?
That's my dream.
And if you can get beaten by what a 23-year-old kid does with a VHS camcorder, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's pretty damning for a lot of that, like, part of the internet, not the internet, humans, life.
But another thing they were saying was
things?
he nailed so many aspects of how people that have had abductions, like how things went.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. And like, it seemed like after the fact, the director during some of his like Q&A and stuff, like once he heard things about his films, I was like, oh, I tried to be the most true to blah blah possible thing.
The video is about basically it's about 12 or 15 years of research that I've done into off and on people who claim to have actually been abducted by extraterrestrials.
I wanted people to, and I'm like, I think you're playing into the idea a little bit more now. Like when somebody gives you an idea of like when Kevin Smith was told by somebody like, filmed in black and white, like it's the perspective of the security camera. And then he tells people that, like to get a little bit more like, like that kind of shit annoys me. But, you do what you have to do to get, to make a living.
There's a great thing with Jordan Peele after Get Out, right? Where he's like reading tweets or comments on like an AMA, and someone says, I love how in Get Out you did this and it was that, which really means this and that means that. And he's like, I did that totally. I was thinking about all that. Like it was just like fuck. It was like it was an awesome like break. It was funny. Yeah,
it's kind of like anyone reading any literature and finding all the the red symbolizes this. Yeah,
that is what I meant.
Of course it
Thank
does.
you. Please
I'm
give me
fucking deep as shit.
Please
more
give
money,
me,
please.
Please give me the award for the good writing. No, I think too. Some people might be like maybe they didn't see this, but they saw some related thing, and that's the image of the aliens that they had for their later abduction story for their own thing, right?
Next thing we knew, we were in this big white room, and standing in front of me was this slimy two-legged creature with these wide lizard-like eyes across its face.
They've said that some of the, because everyone's like, well, how does everyone see the same aliens then? And it's like, they don't, but more and more, like as those stories started coming out with specific descriptions about giant eyes and all that stuff, like plenty of people see a lot of shit with giant eyes when, in their delusions and like hallucinations.
Sure.
So like, there, everything kind of coalesced around a certain image of them, which we, in case you haven't watched this, they are like the Greys. They are the big eyes.
Like, the 4 foot tall,
smooth,
big gray heads, big black eyes.
Oh my God, dude, this is awesome. Dude, this is awesome. This is fucking awesome. Holy shit.
Like you have a close encounter and such, You mentioned too, like how people start getting up to try to like open the door and all that stuff. I like that a lot. I thought there's one of them that's really good because the camera is like not looking at the person, and when they come, oh fuck, where'd they go?
What do you want?
Hey, Renee? Renee, where are you going? Renee, come back!
Renee! Renee!
Don't go over there!
Renee!
Don't open the door! No!
Like they just got up and left, right? That
was the mom?
Sells it for me. One of the two, because like someone goes and then someone else goes. But the whole thing of like, just them trying to like explain what happened, right? Being like, where it's like, I don't remember getting up at all. Like, what the fuck? And then the mom says like, no, and like you can hear her off camera because the cameraman's doing something. She's telling one of the other people like, well, if it didn't sound threatening, like open up or else. It sounded like, open up the door, it'll all be all right, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's creepy. That's cool. That's a good little thing to put in your thing.
I didn't hear anything.
I heard it was like it was inside my head, and they just.
I'm turning on the fucking radio.
That's what it was.
Open the door.
Oh, that's what it was.
It wasn't scary though. It was like, open the door and let us in, and everything will be all right. It wasn't. It's really.
I love that he shot one off the roof.
Yes.
I think that's great.
Yes.
And your first impulse being bring it inside, not let's keep shooting it. Like that's my impulse.
And the like argument about that, where it's kind of like, well, that'll give us a few more minutes or seconds to get the hell out of here if they're looking for him or something. I'm like, there you go.
They gotta come through the house to find him, okay?
But when that
gives us
They gotta come through the house.
gives us 5 more minutes to get on the road and get the hell out of here!
Let's go!
Shut up!
What's up, man?
When they open the door and like the shotgun just falls in, you're like, what the fuck happened that happened? Like, what?
Oh shit! That's Jason's gun!
Jason!
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff like that. That's some of the creepiest stuff. Like when they're looking for Jason, I think his name is. They're like calling his name. That was another moment earlier on where I was like, oh, I'm buying into this suspense. This is good.
Yeah.
Because like someone's calling for them, someone else is like shushing them, telling them to be quiet. Someone else is like, "Mommy, I'm scared." Like there's like several things happening all at once, and you get caught up in that. Like some of the more mundane conversation grated on me, but some of the like panicked conversation I thought was really well done.
Jason? Did he take his car keys with him? Jason, will you talk to us? Come on, we're getting really nervous.
Wait. Excuse me, Michelle.
Jason?
Jason!
Everybody.
Jason!
Yeah, I don't know that I could ever go back to playing cards or something if I had ever seen an alien. And I know the part they're like, oh, it's all light again. Oh, it took off. It's gone. But
ever in your whole life.
Like, kind of.
You can never play cards again.
But it's kind of like the moment you realize, like, oh, hell's real? Oh, shit. Like, you have to look everywhere. Because once you know anything is real, everything could be real.
Yeah, this is the Constantine principle.
Pretty much.
Where once you have a window into that world, it will consume your whole life.
I think so.
It would have to.
Because like already I'm like, yeah, you should kind of be prepared for things. And aliens are something where it's like, I don't know anything about them, nor can I learn anything about them because they're a foreign thing, and that's one of how many potentially types of aliens there are.
Lord Hill Norton said there were 23 different species visiting the planet and 23 different types of ships. I don't think they want a formal relationship with people on Earth.
Yeah,
it's
like
a creepy
possibly
ass thing.
not safely or whatever.
It's like just because it's 4 feet tall doesn't mean like, oh, I'm gonna kick its ass. It could be from an area that has gravity 80 times ours, and it just pones sauce, and that's why it's so short, because it's just pressed down to the ground.
That's the narrative that the crazy people like spread, is that they've evolved to not need big strong bodies because their mental telepathy.
They could be telekinetic. They could just float me against the wall and probe me. I don't know what they're doing.
Which they show signs of here because of their ability to perhaps like mentally influence everybody or whatever. Something else too. Everyone keeps complaining about how hot it is.
Well, come on, we have to concentrate on the cards.
It's just so darn hot in here.
Yeah, it is.
Which I liked a lot. Which has logical reasons, but I was hoping, because I hadn't seen this and nor heard about it, and you sold it like this is the shit. So I was like, oh fuck, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I thought this was a reverse War of the Worlds. And the aliens had brought a disease to Earth, and everyone was going to be dying, and they were all getting sick, having fevers, having hallucination, whatever it's like was going to be. And I thought this is going to be this amazing thing that's been forgotten, that's going to change my life forever.
I believe it's just that it's summertime.
It's hot,
and the power went out.
AC's out or whatever.
Yeah, they do the inverse in the remake where it's wintertime and the power goes out, and
they're
now
all freezing
they're
and
all
stuff.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it adds stress to the situation if people are uncomfortable like that.
Certainly.
Obviously, because like the mom says, like, yeah, I know because someone says I'm hot, and then the mom says like, yep, we gotta keep all the windows closed. Let's just deal with it, whatever. Yeah.
And that's a rational thought.
Yeah.
God, Jesus, get the fuck out of there. Can you even imagine like being in this situation where you just saw aliens, and they saw you?
You guys are gonna get the fuck out of here. No, man. Holy shit.
See this? I think they see this.
They're looking at us. Get the fuck out of here. Oh shit. Oh fuck.
Yeah. Like I think going to the car to get out immediately makes sense. I was waiting for the cars don't work, just flat out, and then everyone goes back. Maybe you lose one person. Someone mentions like there's a lot of mud or something, and I'm like, this is gonna be good. Gonna be hard to film shit slipping around out there in the dark. It's gonna be great, and we didn't really get too much of that, right? But that's fine.
Just limitations and money and stuff.
It's totally fine.
In the version with money, they have like melted car batteries and cool stuff.
Yeah.
When they first spot them, they get shot with like a laser gun. Like one of them gets shot in the hand. Like it's like, oh shit!
Come on, Brian! What's up? Brian, get up, Brian! Come over here! Forget it, Tommy!
When you run back and you have a wound, the family is a little bit more like, what the fuck happened?
Oh, of course,
yeah. In this one, like it took a while, like. And maybe don't come back yelling aliens, maybe like something but just like get your coats with the leave, like a stern tone of like something that doesn't get a question, that just gets a response might be the thing. But I guess, you just saw aliens, you're not fucking in the right mind.
No, and there's some decent, where it's like, a spaceship. Well, what did it look like? What does a spaceship look like? Like, fuck you. He's like,
kind of like an egg.
He's like irrational about the whole thing. Yeah.
Aliens.
Something else that I loved is the way and how and what plays out when they all realize that their watch has stopped.
My watch is dead.
Mine is too.
Yours is stopped too? My watch is
Do you
dead.
have one? I did.
Gee, mine is too.
Never told time well anyway.
I'm serious. My watch isn't working.
We touched upon that briefly, but I love the whole like, oh, it's 6:15. Yep, it's 6:15. Wait a minute. Could it be? It can't be 6:15.
Yeah, I gotta work. It
weird, like,
makes sense.
That that like thing because, and I'm sure this has happened in in other things, but I've never seen it where there's this initial confusion about the fact that watches stopped because everyone's watch stopped at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how that would play out. So I'm like, nope, I got the same time. Wait a minute. It would be this like moment of like, and that had a nice, I think nosebleeds is more impactful, but that was a cool moment. Of
and
like,
I was waiting for, I didn't remember the nosebleeds wasn't in this.
They were in this,
and that's just like a great thing. So it's like, your nose is bleeding. What? And like everybody's nose is bleeding. Like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. And like some people freak out when they see blood and but like, I think that would have been better in this because they're all improv people. It probably would have spun nicer than if it was an actual movie.
Damn!
Oh my God!
You're
fine.
Damn!
I'm bleeding! I'm bleeding!
I'm feeling really dizzy.
Like that, something I can't praise enough is just that, and I know like there's not necessarily a reason to do that where it's all one long take, but I think that's
that they're,
the idea that you were able to go and no one blew a line or did anything
crazy.
in an hour. They're like the most impressive actors there ever were.
I was gonna say I'm shocked that I'm shocked that they are actors. I thought this was like
improv
that
actors.
director.
I don't know if any of them have ever been in movies before.
I'm sorry if anyone is an improv actor. He doesn't.
Well, no, I mean they're stage people.
Yes.
They're not like and maybe they were. I don't know if they've ever been in movies before.
Like just quickly looking at it, I was like, okay, those three people are actors, and that's his actual mom, that's his actual niece, that's his actual. I just assumed that that was that, and then this is their actual house. That was my take. Just from seeing it.
I assume it's his house or somebody he knows' house.
Something
just
like that.
Because,
right?
Like you would choose a different house. I think you wouldn't choose that house.
If you could choose, you wouldn't choose that.
Well, it's very small.
I know.
For what you're trying to do, I think you would have wanted.
Yeah,
something
he must have had access to that
rooms.
somehow.
I believe so, because that house doesn't make sense that three people had bedrooms and the parents, because that doesn't seem like there was enough rooms for that to happen.
Oh, this was a different time. They all slept on top of each other.
Oh, yeah. Good night, little John.
Giant burrito curled up in the corner.
Oh, the good old days. But yeah, this is fun. Historically, just to watch the first found footage movie is enough.
No, and I think for like a modern audience, it's short enough, you'll be okay, and you can get a vibe of like, oh, this is what it would look like if you actually found footage, as opposed to nowadays when it's just like, I don't know, fuck it, just become a movie at the end, who cares? Like, it's very loose and very like...
Well, that's one of the strongest things about it being 1 hour straight is that you're like, okay, that's about how long a tape and a battery would last.
Or something, or like could last, right?
Because,
there's no logistical thing of like, why are you still filming? How, what are these batteries? How is your night vision so good? All that's like subverted accidentally by it being done in 89, right?
Exactly.
You're just good. They even have a thing where he's like aliens, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, we have it on tape. Okay, there's no power, so we can't play the tape, but trust me. And I was like, that's dope as fuck.
The little green man, I guess.
Mom, I have it on tape.
Show
I have
it
it on tape here.
There's no power.
Because he's like, I can't stop filming because this, and so we'll show you later. Please believe me, right?
And I'm not even sure if in '89 if you could play it back in the eyepiece.
In the viewfinder? Okay,
I'm not even sure if you could.
It's possible not,
And it would also depend on the model camera you had.
Yes.
But I love it. I love it so much.
Well, because everything else has so many like fucking explanations.
Oh yeah, we have drones that can fly for 4 hours.
Yes.
Oh, I have cameras that are on my head and here and they're recording constantly in the highest definition possible. You're like,
or people have camcorders that have the pop-out screen, and I'm like, show them the ghost. They don't believe you about the ghost. You don't have to film them not believing you. Show them the and I'm not even that guy, but I'm just like, if you're gonna set up the parameters that
newest Blair Witch sent me over the fucking edge.
I did not even see it.
Oh, it's so bad.
Okay. Do they violate the rules of comments?
There's one. Well, they're being chased through things and like filming the whole time, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? But at one point, like she sends like the drone up to like, well, where are we in the woods? And like the drone like gets lost, and like 4 hours later they find it still spinning in a tree, and I'm like, drones last like 20 minutes. What are you doing?
I mean, it's not the end of the world to me if it's unrealistic to like real life. But
they also had Bluetooth earpieces that were cameras. that were high definition cameras recording for the whole weekend. And I'm like, they use hearing aid batteries?
Like sticking out of your...
Yeah, like in your ear and a stick like this, and that was the camera.
Oh. Yeah, a lot
so
of...
like it worked for like, oh, why are you filming this? Because it's just filming, but not for, that doesn't fucking exist.
No, like a lot of things have to like invent technology to make it work or something like that. Yeah.
Which is so refreshing about this grounded movie.
Yeah, where you can picture him. He even has a comment at one point like, you know, running back from the alien ship, I banged my head against the camera.
Shit. I got a headache.
Teddy bear.
Banged the camera against my head.
And like for us, like then it probably would have been, well, of course, because they have this giant, you know, thing with a VHS tape or whatever in it or something, or like a different type of tape, right? But for the audiences today, it can like remind you of like, oh wait, it's not just like strapped to his one hand and he's free to do. It's like fucking this giant. They keep commenting. He has this growth coming out of his shoulder and his face or whatever. He's gonna have a tan where he's like different on the side because he's that nerd who's always filming with this giant fucking thing. Yeah.
Oh, the good old days. I do miss it to some. You
with
got
real
respect with a large camera.
I had one of those, yeah. I had a like VHS camcorder back in the day.
I still have it. I have a gigantic VHS camcorder that only works when it's plugged in because the battery is so old it doesn't work. And we went on vacation, me and a bunch of the boys, and I remember I put stickers that said MTV across the front of it, and it's so big. It's probably like this big. And so on my shoulder, it looks like I'm fucking from a TV show.
Yes.
And we were recording people, and like people were doing things and like saying things to us and all kinds of crazy shit. It was hilarious.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you don't get that kind of respect anymore.
No, because anybody could, you know, you could be making a movie with just this or something. Yes, exactly.
Well, DSLRs versus like even like the XL2s, our old cameras, like not the same.
Whereas now you well, back in the day you would look like a Ghostbuster. You have this giant thing, and people would go, "Oh shit, get out of their way. That's probably very expensive."
Well, that was the great thing is people wouldn't walk in front of a shot if you had a giant shoulder-mounted camera. Now it's like, what are you doing? Fuck you, and everyone would walk in front of your shot.
Exactly.
Oh.
If only an alien would have walked in front of our camera.
I'll set up for Bigfoot. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion